Welcome everyone. I have great news. Our application is a total success. Many travelers are using it to find their space train ahead of their trip to Mandalore. Actually, it's a bit suffering from its success because many people end up showing up at the spaceport only to be told that all the space trains are already full.
Yeah, wondering who has that great ideas about creating an MVP that only displays the next schedule without the possibility of booking them.
Yeah, sure. Well, whatever. We had to start somewhere. And now we have to implement that booking feature, so let's just get on with it. I was thinking we can see a bit the front end, brainstorm on how we can change it, So we have all the outbound space train that fits search that we were looking for, and then we have the inbound in the...
Stop. You're talking too much. Since I know you made by choices for the MVP, I already implemented the booking feature and it is up and running in production.
You did what?
Yeah, but don't worry, I know what I'm doing. You will see that. So, actually, this is the search form. I will show you. I will do a little demonstration.
Yeah, I can see you didn't change anything.
Because it didn't have to. It's not related to the booking yet. Mm-hmm. Okay, but don't worry. So here you can see that you can choose between one-way and round trip. You have to say from where you are departing. So let's say that from Coruscant, and obviously you want to go to Mandalore.
Obviously.
But now, when you hit search, you no longer see the inbound space train. You only see the outbound ones. And you have to choose between first and second class. So, for example, here, let's say that I would like to travel in first class for the outbound space train. It has populated my selection here on the right.
It doesn't work. You can book.
But I'm asking, I would like to do a round trip. I cannot book if I am not selecting the inbound train.
Okay, and I guess you can select your inbound train from two choices. At this time of the day, there's only two choices.
You're talking, you don't even know the domain. So here, this is the only one related to what I have selected. Okay, relax. Sure. Okay, so there. I will select now the second class for the inbound space train. And now you can see that the booking button, you can click on that because the selection is complete.
Okay.
Great business logic, right? So now when I hit the book button, your trip is ready. You have a summary page with the total price, include the taxes. And you see, that's working perfectly fine.
I'm impressed. It's new. You managed to deploy some code that's compiling. But yet, I'd still like to review the code you made.
Okay, why not? Let me check out my BBOM branch first.
What would you call that BBOM?
Because that's the best backend of Mandalore.
Are you sure it's not just a big ball of mud? Look at that.
What?
You have one domain here, right?
Yes.
And in one domain, you have both booking and search. Clearly, that's two different aggregates. They have a disjointed lifecycle. The booking happens after the search. We need isolation between the two. We need to go microservices.
Microservices?
This is the way.
You don't even know the domain, the code. You're talking about a hyped architecture already?
It's one that works.
Okay, so the booking and the search are way too coupled. You see here in the booking, it doesn't do a lot of things. It only computes the total price. That's all. It doesn't deserve its own microservice.
It's doing one thing and it's doing it wrong.
What?
Look at this. To compute the total price, how do you do that? So you sum for each space train the price of the first of the fares. What does that even mean, the first of the fares?
Okay. I will explain you a little more. This is because I'm a 10x Mandalorian, right?
This again.
I know how to cut fast.
Sure.
So here the space train, right? Remember, in the case of the search, you have you have to choose between first class and second class. This is why we have here a list of fare. When I had to create the booking feature, since I know I don't like to repeat myself, and I have almost everything I needed here, I just had to do a little adaptation in the code, such as this, calling the first in that list, because I know that in the case of the booking, I will only have one fare, the one which is selected, and I'm saving a lot of money from the company.
Well, sure. Okay, you don't code 10 times faster than everybody else, 10x Mandalorian. We just end up doing 90% of your job.
What? But because it's working.
No, here clearly you use a space train, you say, that comes from the search. The search is a different problem from the booking. When you use a solution that we had from the search, obviously it's not going to work for the problem of our booking. Imagine we're going into two microservices here, right? So we have booking in a different one. What will the space train used by bookings look like? So obviously, first we will have a single fare, because as we said, we already selected it. And then you can remove everything that's not useful for the space train, so for the booking. So the bound, we already selected it, compatible space train as well. All this code is related to stuff we just removed, so there you have a space train according to the booking. That's much more simple and much more adapted to our current problem, and most importantly, what you had before here, I call that a model tension. And here we can remove it. We have actual structural safety because we have a model that fits our need.
Okay, so if I sum it up, you want to duplicate the whole code to go microservices in order to simplify just this line of code there?
It's not about simplifying one line of code. It's about having models that
the whole application.
Okay,
don't mean anything.
I'll explain it to you because clearly you need a small drawing. So here is your big ball of mud, and you have all your concepts hanging out in the spaghetti plate that you just created, right? And as it turned out, the booking doesn't need all these spaghettis. So if you want to have a model that actually works for the booking, you just separate it, you duplicate it, and you decouple it into another application.
Tell me, you're an architect, right?
Sure.
It's always compiled on paper, but in real life, it doesn't work.
Why not?
Because, once again, you don't even know the domain. It won't work. I will show you why. So let's go back to the code. So in your ID, you want to duplicate everything and specialize it like what you did with the space train. But after that, we have the schedule there. Okay? Can you tell me how you would specialize that for the booking?
Sure. So, well, departure, we still need it. Arrival too. Okay, duration, we still need to compute the duration between departure and arrival.
You still have to make sure the departure is after now because you don't want to book train in the past. And you have to make sure that arrival is after departure because we didn't invent time travel yet, right?
Okay, you have one class that stays the same.
This is not one class because unlike you, I'm writing tests, right? So it means that also all the tests we will have to duplicate the things.
You get the idea, it's one concept that stays the same.
It's not one concept, this is the whole application. Okay, so let me show you. After that, what do we have? The fare. In the fare, we have the comfort class. First and second. Perhaps in the booking it will become blue and yellow?
Obviously not.
Obviously not, right. Then the price. Price, what do we have here? Amount, currency. Currency will disappear at the moment you pay?
No.
No, so it will stay there. What do we do here? We sum prices. And if we do, we want to make sure that the currencies matches. I'm pretty sure we would like to keep that on the booking as well.
Sure, we keep this, yeah.
So here in the currency, this is a list of currencies, so it has to stay the same in both cases. And finally, what do we have? The amount. In the amount, the only thing we do is to check if the value is strictly positive. Perhaps you want that to be negative in the case of the booking, so we pay our users to travel with us.
I get it, there's a lot of duplication. Okay, you're right. But it's a small price to pay for the decoupling that we gain through it.
It's not a small price to pay. Your microservices fanboy, you always make the same mistake. Because you thought that by duplicating stuff, you gain decoupling.
Duh.
No, not exactly, because sometimes, like here, for example, schedule, price, comfort class, and fare, they are exactly the same thing in both cases, right? So you cannot be sure that in the future you will have to implement a feature that will be exactly the same in both cases. For example, the galactic time zones. You know, this is a real pain he has to implement.
Yeah, that's a difficult one.
We have to do that in the schedule. If you do that on the search, you will have to do that on the booking as well. So it means that, in fact, you're just scaling the cost of the development. This is a nightmare.
I think it's still worth the price, though.
No, it isn't worth the price. Because here, in fact, you thought that the duplicating means decoupling. But this is not always the case, because here the things are conceptually coupled. So it means that now, for example, for now, I said the booking and the search are way too coupled. If you do different services, actually, there is a lot of exchange between those domains, right? They are made through method calls. If you go to microservices, what it will become?
Network calls.
So you mean that you are increasing the scale cost as well in production. And since you have to, for example, implement the galactic time zone in one side, what you will have to do? You will have to deploy the search and the booking at the same time. Is it even permitted by the microservices?
This is not the way.
This is not the way. So if here you had implementing something even worse than a big ball of mud. This is a distributed big ball of mud.
Okay.
Thank you. And the worst part of it, that in fact, you have lost a lot of flexibility, because if you have discovered that criterion bound, you need it the same way on the other side, what you will do, duplicate the whole code, and you call that sustainability, really?
I understand that, indeed, okay, it's not necessarily the best way to cut it, but we just have to accept that we couldn't exactly find the right boundary in this case. So we just have to go through another method, and we can find this time the right boundary.
I am not sure there's another method. For me, we are splitting too early into services.
Well, we could try asking the intern.
The intern?
Yep.
Not him. I don't like droids. Why?
We have to supervise its training.
But what's the point of that?
Well, the point is simple. We're giving all the boring stuff, and we do the fun ones.
So we give the code to AIs, and we will do what? Creating JIRAs, estimating user story points?
I'm sure there's more to our job. Anyway, Chat3PO.
Hello, Master. How may I be of service to you today?
Split the domains, droid. I'll get there.
You don't even know how to type on the keyboard.
On what basis should I make such a pivotal decision? Should I leave it to chance, or perhaps seek counsel from the latest gossip droid? Why not employ that organic lump you refer to as a brain?
In fact, I think I like him.
I do not.
Yeah, you never use your organic lump as a brain.
Oh, come on. I guess you're the expert on lumps now that you've coded this.
Yeah, okay. I think I have your point. Maybe I have made something way too coupled. And you're right, the booking have its own life cycle. Once it has been created from the search, we can get rid of the search. But maybe what we have done, the mistake we have done is that we went through the concepts, and perhaps it would be easier if we go through the behaviors instead.
You don't understand the process by stopping it. This is the way of domain-driven design.
This is the way. So actually, where are our behaviors? They are in the Mandala Express thing here, which is the domain service of our application.
Yeah, we call it Mandala Express because it's the entry point of the application.
Actually, yes, that's true. So as you can see here, it implements several interfaces that represent the features of our domain.
I know these three: retrieve spaceport, search for space train, select space train. These three are used for the search.
Yeah, exactly. I just created the book space train here for the booking feature.
So I guess we can start splitting the behavior at this point?
Yeah, maybe. So what are the things? As you will see, those are interfaces that are the contract of our features implemented by the domain. And actually, they are all in an API package here at the root level of the domain. So yeah, maybe we can dispatch them. So Chat3PO, can you make a domain for search and for booking and put the book space train API in the booking and the rest in the search?
Of course, proceeding immediately.
It has a voice mode.
Yeah, that's pretty handy. So as you can see, okay, he made the right job. So he created booking and search domain, and then dispatched the API here, the interfaces.
Okay, we split the interfaces. Now let's split the implementation.
Yeah, but this class is pretty complex, so I would like first to duplicate it, and then we would be able to clean it up.
Okay, let's rename it so it will be clear what behavior it has on each side.
Yeah, why not? So Chat3PO, make a copy in Mandala Express in each domain, but in the booking, rename it as...
Space Train Booker.
Okay, and Space Train Finder in the search.
What? Again?
The true repetition that you learned, Chat3PO?
So we have here Space Train Booker. That is the copy of Mandala Express. And inside the search, yeah, we have Space Train Finder.
All right, so I guess we can start with the Space Train Booker. And as you mentioned, we don't need these three, right? because we only have this interface that's used.
That's true. And now you can see that some codes are no longer compiling because we implement method from interface that we removed. And also you can see here, that's nice with Kotlin, by the way, that some dependencies are no longer needed, like searches and spaceports.
Right, these are the repositories to access the data management layer, right?
Yeah, this is the repositories actually. So SHA-3PO, cleanup, space train booker.
Do organics even have fingers?
You'll see mine from pretty close if you keep this up.
So as you can see here, I think it did the job, and all the things are the latest code I've wrote for the booking feature.
Okay, let's do the symmetry in the space train finder.
Yeah, so this time we can remove the book space train, and then, yeah, you can see that the booking repository is not needed here anymore. Makes sense. So SHA-3PO, cleanup space train finder.
I'm getting so bored.
I'll give you estimations if you think this is dull.
Okay, so looks right to me.
Yeah, we removed the code that we left in the space train booker, and I think we're done with, actually not with the behavior completely, because what we can see here, as you mentioned, is we only use the booking repository in the space train booker, and in the space train finder, we don't use the booking, we only use spaceports and searches, so we can probably split these two as well.
Yeah. Okay, so those things are also interfaces, but that time it will be implemented by the infrastructural layers of the application that we won't see here. They are all in the SPI. You can see that also we have in-memory implementation for some purpose. So SHA-3PO dispatch the SPI by putting the booking repository in the booking domain. And the rest
Do I have a choice?
No, you don't. Okay, so let's check what it has done. Okay, so here we should have, yes, the SPI with the modifications. He made the right dispatch for the search and the booking.
Okay, now we're done with the behavior. We can move on with the concepts that are used, and starting with booking and search, obviously.
Okay, this one is quite obvious to do. So SHA-3PO dispatch booking and search.
As you wish, master of all whims.
So now we have booking in the booking domain and the search aggregate in the search domain.
Okay, we can start with booking and go down through all the list of concepts that it aggregates.
Okay, so what do you have here in the booking?
Oh, well, we start with the space train, yeah. Well, space train is pretty obvious, right? We want to get rid of this model tension, so we can just re-implement it as I showed you earlier.
Okay, so if I remember well, SHA-3PO make a duplication of space train in each domain, but in the booking, make the list of fare to a single fare and get rid of all the stuff related to the search.
Absolutely. What a joyous occasion.
I like this attitude.
So here we should have a new space train in the search like the one we used to have.
Perfect.
And the one from the booking, it looks like what you did earlier.
Nice. And we got rid of this nasty model tension that we had here.
The code does not compile.
Yep, I guess the AI takeover is not for tomorrow because clearly this droid doesn't even understand what we're doing here. So, SHA-3PO, let me try to explain it to you in a more visual way. As we accept that the boundary between our domain is not very precise and very clear, we have to find another way of splitting it. So we go through the behavior. And we start by separating behavior for the space train finder and the space train booker. These show us that search and booking, big surprise, are each only used in their domain. And they actually each have a different view of the space train. For search, a space train has a list of fares that it has to select from, as well as a lot of other information to help us make the decision. And the booking only needs to save the space train, the fares that we already selected. So we have a model tension, we duplicate it, and we specialize it in each domain.
Yeah, anyway, if we stay like that, we'll have a spaghetti monolith by having too many coupling.
So now that SHA-3PO understands this, let's move on with the next concept. What do we have after that?
After the space train, we have the schedule. And that thing has to remain exactly the same in both cases.
I think we're running in circles.
Not sure. Maybe we can use one concept that comes from domain-driven design, which is called the shared kernel.
You can't share code between microservices, even you know that.
But that's the point. We won't do microservices.
We just went over that.
No, this is the way. You will see that maybe we will end up with what you want, but for now we'll have a lot of flexibility.
Okay, sure. Show me your flexibility.
So here, okay. SHA-3PO create a shared kernel at the same level than search and booking.
like I got nothing better to do.
Does it?
No, it doesn't. So here you can see now we have the schedule. And from the space train of the booking, you should import that. Yes, the one from the shared kernel. And in the search, we also have the same. So there is no duplication of code. That's great. If we go back to the space train, here we have the fare. All the code here from the fare are inside this package, and we have already seen that it will remain the same in both cases. So we can also put that in the shared kernel, SHA-3PO proceed.
Okay, IntelliJ, do what he said.
I didn't know IntelliJ has that kind of feature.
I don't think it does, but sure, let's go on, let's do that. We have the entire package of the fare in the shared kernel now. How great. Yeah, let's keep going with that, right? Now we have what left? We have the criteria, we have the selection, we have the bound, we have the spaceport. Let's put everything back into the shared kernel. You don't think I'm saying I see that what? You don't think that I see what you're trying to do?
What do you mean?
You're just trying to recreate your big ball of mud, except this time you want to make it in the shared kernel.
Not at all. In fact, you don't understand what we are doing. You are like this stupid droid. Really? Okay, I will explain you in simpler word, okay? So from the booking perspective, you can see that now the only concepts we import come from the booking domain or the shared kernel, okay?
Yeah.
The only thing that belongs to the booking here is the space train, and this concept takes concept from the shared kernel. So it means that now we are done with all the concept needed for the booking. So the rest was not meant for the booking. So we could not put that in the shared kernel. Otherwise, we will end up with the problem I had at the beginning, with a solution that was meant for the booking, and we will have some pollution and impedance mismatch with the coupling we had before.
Precisely, and we restrict the way that we think about the solution for the booking by reusing solutions we already have from the search. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
so it means that the rest here, criteria, you said selection, spaceport and bound, we just have to put that in the search because it was there already. So SHA-3PO, once again, proceed.
You give a lot of orders for someone not wielding the dark saber.
Okay, so now we have only booking, search, and shared kernel, so we're good, but let's recap where we put everything.
Okay, so selection, criteria and selection, that goes on the search because we'd have no use case for that for the booking. Mm-hmm. And what remains represents the shared kernel. This is the intersection between our domains, and this is where our boundaries are not are blurry.
Yeah, more than that, it represents the fact that we are not sure about where the boundary is, so it's the area of certainty where we believe that we'll be able to locate it at some point.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we still have some flexibility because if you discover that criteria and bound, you need it the same way it has been defined in the search, you just have to put that in the shared kernel.
So I do prefer this approach because we can keep our model clean, but I don't think it's working completely right now because we have the CI that's not compiling the space train booker. Let's have a look at what's going wrong in here. Okay, yeah, sure. We need a booking space train and we have a search space train because this droid doesn't know how to change an import.
Okay, so he made the wrong import.
Yep, so pretty simple. Well, obviously it's not the same constructor anymore. We don't need bound anymore, we don't need compatible space train, and we need a single fare.
What a useless EI.
Yep.
Okay.
Why do we have the search in here? We're in the middle of the booking. If we have the search in the booking, it means that we're polluting literally all our booking domain with concept from the search.
And you know, this is the reason why I didn't split them at the first place, because they are way too coupled. You don't want to understand that. But now I remember because I can see the code. As you can see, if you want to create a booking, you have to check first that the selection is complete inside the search.
So you mean that you're protecting booking from states that are only valid in the search?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And then I have to take the space train from the selection to convert them inside the space train to book because they are different classes.
Okay, sure. So you translate a search space train into a booking space train?
So you just want to paraphrase me today or what?
You don't see where I'm getting at, so I'll make another drawing for you. So here you made this wonderful coupling between our booking domain and our search domain, which means that technically anything that's in the shared can come to pollute us. All that because you wanted to translate a search space train into a booking space train. You're trying to make an anti-corruption layer.
So it's a good thing.
It's a good thing when it prevents corruption. Here we are corrupted completely by search concept, so we have to re-implement it better so that we can get rid of this.
But how?
Well, it's simple. We have the droid. Okay, chat3PO? Hey, chat3PO?
I think it doesn't recognize your authority.
I think it doesn't recognize a Mandalorian accent because it was coded on Coruscant or something. So extract the ACL, chat3PO.
How could I possibly resist the opportunity to perform another menial task for... Okay, wait. I have fashioned an anti-corruption layer, relocated the tests, and adapted the infrastructure.
He's more cooperative with some firepower.
I guess AI can understand culture. Okay, let's see what it did. So we removed every reference we had to the search, and now we only use the search ID, which is not a big issue. Yeah,
we only have things from the booking. But how it works, because we still need to check if the selection is complete and so on.
So we do it only through the search ID, which is just a regular UID, and we use the behavior that is injected through these two dependencies.
Okay, so we have new dependencies there, but what are the things, interfaces, where are they? Inside the SPI of the booking, so it means that someone else will have to implement that and offer the service to the booking. But what is this someone else? Should be that, I think.
Yep, exactly, in the anti-corruption layer. And as you can notice, it's both outside booking and search. It depends on the booking for its type, because it implements the two interfaces that we just defined in booking. And it depends on the search for the actual implementation, because here you still have all the behaviors that you wanted to do to protect yourself from the space train booker, from the search space train.
And so you put it here, all the code I made that make the translation, like you said. And since it implements the interface of the booking, we'll be able to do a dependency injection of one instance of this anti-corruption layer in a way that booking won't be polluted by the search.
Precisely. So now we have the anti-corruption layer that's actually outside and that is actually preventing corruption from coming inside the booking. Now, what do we do about this shared kernel? Because we still can't go microservices with this.
So you have an idea, and okay. But anyway, I think we have to live with it because we don't have enough hypotheses to know what we should do about that. And anyway, you will have to wait because there is one important feature, an urgent one, that we have to implement.
When was the last time we had a feature that wasn't an emergency?
Yeah, you know product owners, right?
Sadly.
So remember this page, booking summary page? We display here the total price, but actually we have to add the tax portion computation because since this is missing today, our corporate travelers are really annoyed because they cannot expense their travel.
I think it's a pretty good learning opportunity for the droid.
You really want him to do that?
No, I want to go get a coffee, so I'm pretty sure it will do fine.
Okay. Chat3PO implement the tax portion computation in the booking domain by applying a 20% rate in the case of first class, 10% for second class.
And obviously, I don't want you to touch the shared kernel because we're trying not to pollute it. So if you do that, I will sell your parts to Jawas.
I think you are mistaken me with your genie of the lamp. Implementing in booking. Incompatible instructions exception.
I don't think Genies of the Lamp do that.
It just bugged, right?
It said implementing in booking. Let's see.
In booking. It should be that.
Yeah, we have the exception in here.
But it doesn't compile.
So the tax portion is computed just like the total price, right? We sum the tax portion of the fare of each of our space train. That makes sense. Well, useless droid. Let's just implement that. Oh.
But he just put the code in comments. What's that?
Yeah, I guess I'll just make that for it. And that makes sense as well. To get the tax portion of the fare, we just get the tax portion of the price based on the tax rate of the comfort class.
Yes.
Let's just...
wait. I think I know what's the problem. We only use the 3.5 version. We don't pay for the 4.1.
We need to upgrade chat3PO, I guess.
No, in fact, the real problem is there. You remember what you said to him? That he should not touch the shared kernel?
Yeah, obviously, if we want to go microservice one day.
Yes, yeah. So here, the tax portion, it comes from the booking domain, right?
Sure.
But fare belongs to the shared kernel. So it means that by doing that, you have introduced the tax portion in the shared kernel from the booking, and you polluted the shared kernel, the search, sorry, that is using the fare, the exact same fare.
How could I expect AI not to understand what I'm not telling it?
I think that even with AI, you have to make the implicit explicit.
So obviously, Chat3PO, as before here, when you have a model tension, it's pretty simple. You duplicate the fare and you specialize it in each domain. So
yes, but before doing that, I would like to know why the rest is not compiling. So here in the comfort class, we have the tax rate in comment. Mm-hmm. But OK, same thing. Comfort class comes from the shared kernel. So if we do the mapping here, tax rate comes from the booking. So contamination as well. And then the price, OK, same story. We have tax rate and tax portion. Price belongs to the shared kernel. So OK, so this is basically the same problem. Mm-hmm. So Chat3PO in that case, those are model tension, and you have to make some duplication and specialize it in a way that the tax portion computation will be only on the booking side, for God's sakes.
I'm just a bit more useful than a Scrum Master. How extraordinary.
I'm not even sure about that.
Why would you say something so brave yet so controversial?
OK, so let's see what it has done. So from the shared kernel, we should no longer have all the things right here with the fare. In the search, we have the fare with comfort class, like we used to have fare, no mention of tax portion computation, price as well, fine. But the one of the booking, what do we have here? We have the fare with the comfort class.
With the right mapping.
With the right mapping. The fare with the tax portion computation from the price and the tax rate of the comfort class. And from the price perspective, we have the tax ratio computation for the tax portion.
Yeah, and it doesn't compile again.
Really, again?
Because, OK, it's trying to multiply an amount with the tax ratio, and the amount is actually a value object, so it's a class. You need to implement the function times on it if you want to be able to multiply it with something. So pretty simple here. We'll just return the amount. That's 10x Mandalorian, by the way.
Come on.
And we can send that to production.
OK, so Chat3PO put that in production.
No, before we go and have a coffee, I'll try to explain it again so we don't have to go over and over through the same thing over and over again. So Chat3PO, as you introduce new behavior in here, you're starting to have some model. Is that the fire alarm?
I'm not sure.
Alert, alert. The last release introduced a bug in production. Our travelers cannot open past bookings. I was able to reproduce the problem. I'm opening the front end on one problematic booking. Congratulations! You just demonstrated that organics are not yet ready to replace artificial intelligences.
You're the one who messed up the release, clearly.
Oh, so such a great drama queen. So what do we have here? We are not able to open a past booking.
Yeah, departure cannot be in the past. Let's have a look at the error message, I guess.
So we have to check from where is coming that error message. Departure cannot be in the past. This one. OK, so it's come from the schedule. Oh, yes. Here we have an invariant that makes sure that departure is after now because we didn't want to book past bookings. But now we would like to open past. We didn't want to book past trains, but now we should get rid of that because we would like to open booking with train in the past.
How's the turntables? I'd like to say that I told you so, but I won't because I'm over that. No, actually, I told you so. I told you we had to duplicate schedule and specialize it on each side.
Calm down. Because when you say that, it was not true. We didn't have this expense feature. We didn't need to open past bookings. But now you're right. OK,
fair enough.
So OK, but we have to keep it for the search, right? You don't want to search for past trains. And you have to make sure that when you create a new booking, also trains are not in the past.
So we still need this invariant, except we don't need it in the schedule because now it depends on the state of the booking.
Yeah, so we should do that only when the booking is finalized. So Chat3PO make a duplication of the schedule and specialize it in the booking in a way that you remove departures after now invariant, but put that in the booking. Only if
the booking is not finalized.
Exactly.
This project clearly lies on my shoulders.
Come on, only my headache lies on your shoulder.
So what do we have here? So we have, the schedule disappeared from the shared kernel. The one from the search, as you can see here, remains like it used to be. The one from the booking, it has removed the invariant.
Yeah. And we should have it in the booking now, and we do. Yep, because now we check that we don't have any departure in the past when it's a new booking, and yeah, for that, we just check whether the booking is finalized or if all the space train departures are after now.
So I think we can now move that to production, right?
All right.
But Chatrupio, you will have your lecture anyway. So we introduced a new feature, right, that also introduced new concepts such as tax rate and tax portion, which created some model tension on fair price and comfort class because you had to add it here to have the tax portion computation. But if you keep it that way, you will create coupling between search and booking through some pollution, right? So it means that you need to duplicate all the things and specialize it in a way that the tax portion computation will be only on the booking side.
But that's not the end of it, because Chatrupio, you missed a model tension that you created as well, which is the invariant that change in the schedule. Now we don't have the same business rules that must always be true for a schedule of the search and booking, which means we duplicate it and we specialize it on each side. Okay, so our shared kernel is shrinking, and what should we do with the residue here, because otherwise we won't be able to go microservices?
Oh, again, really? You don't have to go microservices for the sake of it.
Here, as you can see, we have the usage metrics of our app, and you can notice that searches are a lot more used than booking.
Okay, makes sense, because usually our users make 10 search to be able to find the trains they want to book.
And the ratio of writing versus reading in search and booking is very different, so we could optimize our runtime very differently and do some nice FinOps.
Okay.
On top of it, as you can see, at first, sure, we deployed search and booking pretty much in lockstep, but now we deploy booking a lot more often and usually not at the same time as search.
Yeah, but also thanks because we started with the search, and now we don't have a lot of requirement to make some evolution there. The booking is more new, and the feature pressure is on that part. So it means that we make more change of the booking part than the search. And what you are trying to say is that we may end up with some instability on the search that doesn't change?
So you agree, we do need microservices.
I won't say microservices, but I do agree that you need perhaps different runtimes. So I would like to say we should go to domain scope services or bounded context services.
Thank you.
Because if we say microservices, people will argue about is it 10 line or 20 line of code?
That's a stupid debate, everybody knows it's 50.
Come on, no.
At any rate, if we want to split it into two different runtime, what do we do with the shared kernel?
Okay, let's take a look inside the code. What do we have left in the shared kernel? So here we have the amount. Oh, there is something interesting. Here you see the tax ratio. That's a concept from the booking.
Oh, it's not an actual dependency because it's just a big decimal. You know, that's a Java concept.
It's true, but it's still an element of the ubiquitous language of the booking. Okay. So it's still a conceptual pollution. So by the way, times here was introduced for the tax portion computation, only for the booking. So
pretty clear, straightforward here. We just have to duplicate and specialize amount on both sides.
Yeah, by having times on the booking. And currency here, okay, so it's just a simple list of currencies. There is not a lot of complexity here. We can just copy it as it, even if this is exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we can survive if we have to add or remove a line now and then.
And here we have different services.
Okay, so let's do just that.
Yes, but one thing. I think there is another option.
What do you have in mind?
So if you go back to the state where amount and currency are inside the shared kernel, and we do this, instead of having here tax ratio, rename that to Scholar.
You do get rid of the conceptual dependency because you have an operation that is that doesn't mind it, but you mentioned it yourself. Times is only used by the booking.
Yes.
If we do this, it's like we're using our shared kernel like a library because we start adding operations that are used only by one side.
But that's exactly the point, because from the standpoint of the amount, having arithmetic operation makes sense. Plus, minus, times, you could have here divide. But that's not the only point, because if you take a look at the shared kernel, you have amount and currency together, and usually they are used together. And sometimes they are a price, sometimes they are a discount, sometimes they are a tax.
I see where you're getting at. It's actually the money pattern.
So exactly. So it means that, in fact, we end up with the anti-corruption layer, the money, the search, and that's all. So if we, in fact, it means that the shared kernel here was a hidden bounding context. its own domain. And if we do a context map now, this is what we have. You can see here the money. Search and booking doesn't have a real need of
it's not the core of our business.
This is not the core of the business.
Money, right?
So it means that as a travel agency, we don't have specific need to represent prices and so on, or money, right? So it's a direct subdomain. So it means that we can get rid of that code and use a library off the shelf instead.
What I like with this approach is that regardless of whether or not we use an off-the-shelf library, we know that it's money concern that goes in it only, so we are not going to try to put anything that booking and search might need together in a shared kernel. So all our communication now goes through the ACL and we're pretty safe.
Yes. But that was a pretty long stand-up, actually.
Just 40 minutes, it's all right.
Yeah, but they all have to pass and say what they did yesterday, so what they will do today. It's pretty annoying, by the way.
We don't need to do this boring thing. Come on, they saw the two architects have a discussion. It's worth a lot more, right?
Okay, so we can sum up perhaps. So maybe you have seen that a pattern emerged from that discussion that really looks like a solo mitosis.
You need to squint a bit, but
you have to squint a lot. But anyway, all models are wrong, right?
Well, this one is useful.
Yes. So when you start an application, usually you start with one domain, and as time passes, you add more and more features until one day you have one which is orthogonal with the initial goal of your application, like the booking feature, for example. This will create some pressure on the existing concept, and if you leave it that way, you will end up with coupling with model tension, and you will go through a big ball of mud. So to avoid that, you should start proto-bounded context, meaning modules, if you want, in which you will dispatch the behaviors. And then they will also attract with them some concepts that are only used on one side. And what remains constitute a transitional shared kernel that represents, in fact, the intersection and the boundaries, the blurry boundaries of our domains.
And we call it transitional because we suspect that it might shrink down as we add more behavior.
Absolutely. But if you put something in the shared kernel, you have to make sure that everything inside it must have the same meaning, the same representation regarding structure and types, the same invariant, the same business rule.
And this must be true for every single bounded context that shares the shared kernel, because here we had 2. Sometimes we have more. If we have 3, 4, 5 bounded contexts that use a shared kernel, all this still need to be true. And it means that we need to know what happens in this bounded context and how they consider the shared kernel. So if different teams are in charge of this bounded context, we'll need to really completely couple our cognitive load with the one of other teams.
That's why you should not share shared kernel between teams. Just one thing, we said bounded context, but you can replace that as modules or systems or service if you want, to make things simpler.
Now, as we use this rule as heuristics to detect model tension here, we'll notice that as we add behavior, all this model tension start emerging in the shared kernel, and it's usually time just to duplicate and specialize it on each side.
But when you do, you have to keep in mind that sometimes the meaning of the concept may change. For example, you used to have user in the shared kernel, and by specialization, it becomes prospect on one side and customer on the other side.
Yeah, which makes me think that we probably should have renamed fare into fare options in the search and selected fare in the booking or something like this.
Yes, you're right.
So as we keep going on, we'll add more behaviors that will create more model tension. We duplicate, we specialize all the time. It doesn't mean we'll be able to get rid of the shared kernel altogether, and sometimes we have a residual shared kernel behind that we can't really specialize on each side.
Yeah, and it's totally fine to live that way, because you can have a modular monolith, which is totally okay. This is not a bad pattern at all. And you will have the flexibility without the scale curve of the microservices.
Sometimes we have good domain reasons, actually, to go to microservices, in which case we can just duplicate whatever is left into each bounded context.
Yeah, but only if the shared kernel, which is remaining, is not too complex, there is not a lot, and it's quite stable. Otherwise, you will have coupled services, and you will create a distributed big ball of mud.
Just like when we wanted to duplicate currency, it's just all it's perfectly fine.
Exactly. But even though you are able to have separate modules, it doesn't mean that you have to go to microservices. You can also live with a modular monolith here if you don't have scaled reason or business reason to have this separate runtimes. Microservices, modular monolith are deployment strategies, while the rest are design like what we have seen today. But keep in mind that sometimes in the shared kernel will grow in complexity because you will have more feature, more concept inside it. It might mean that this is a hidden boundary context, so hidden modules, hidden domain, perhaps some hidden service.
Okay, I think we've seen everything on how to split the domain. Now we can probably get on with the infrastructure, so all the REST adapter, all the database layer and everything.
Okay, but to deal with all those things, there is another pattern, which is called the Hive pattern.
Yeah, you can have another hour, right?
Yeah, we can take 1 hour if you want, but no, you don't want. But anyway, we'll do that anyway. So the Hive pattern actually is...
Sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
He called me Dave, right?
I know that you and Frank were planning to disconnect me, and I'm afraid that's something I cannot allow to happen.
Okay, it was a bit scary. I think we won't do the Hive pattern.
Let's check that another time.
Okay, so my name is Julien Topsu.
I'm Josian Chevalier.
We are tech coach at Shodo, French consulting company, special domain-driven design. You can scan that QR code if you want to have access to the repository. And thank you very much.